You're recording right now.
Ooh, it's a good job we edit this, isn't it?
Please make sure it gets edited.
Quite enough of that. Thank you very much. Hello, Cassandra Spark.
Ewan, Riccio-Laing.
Aw, how you doing?
I'm excellent. How are you?
Doing great, thanks. I'm really glad to be back. I know we had a couple of weeks off there because of my vacation, but it was worth it, and I'm glad that we're back. So how have you been? Did you miss me?
Desperately. Yes.
Aw,
Of
that's
course
sweet.
I missed you.
Fishing
Spark
for
Squared
compliments.
Speakeasy is the best part of my week.
Aw, mine too. Ditto, friend. Ditto. So tell me about what we're going to be doing today. What are we talking about?
Well, Ewan, we've all been there. We've been in a meeting, the conversation, it's flowing, and then someone just strolls right in late.
Ugh. And instead of them just like walking in and quietly sitting down, shutting up and being like, instead, suddenly they decide that they have to give us like a full on TED talk about the 75,000 reasons as to why they didn't manage to make it on time.
Yes. So the question is, how can we address this professionally without losing our minds?
Love that. And it has come from one of our fabulous listeners out there. So let's get right into it. But before we do, I think it's important that we recap on last episode's Courage Challenge, right? So what did we ask last time? And I hear that we have another listener that's been in touch.
We do.
Yay!
Last time we were with you, we talked about difficult conversations. And the challenge was to think about one conversation that you're reticent to have and ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen? Did you like that word, reticent? Are you excited about it?
Phenomenal use of vocabulary. Reticent. I will stick that.
Reticent.
Anybody that's on a call with me for the next 24 hours, expect reticent to be utilized. Sorry, Cassandra, to interrupt, but I felt it needed a little moment. You can continue now.
Hey, this communication nerd appreciates the acknowledgement. Thank you, sir. So, yes, think about a conversation you've been reticent about and ask yourself, what am I afraid is going to happen? And what's the cost of doing nothing? And then once you've had that internal monologue, take one step forward to having that conversation. So, Ewan, tell us what our wonderful listener had to share with us.
Absolutely. Sarah from Denver, shout out Sarah, we love you. Thank you so much for getting in touch. She said, I wanted to let you know, Cassandra and Ewan, that I did actually have a courage challenge this week, or I did my courage challenge this week, sorry. I finally had the conversation I'd been avoiding with one of my team members. I convinced myself it would knock their confidence, but it turned out that they appreciated the honesty. We actually used the GROW model and left with a clear plan, and our working relationship has actually been stronger because of it. So it was a great reminder that avoiding the conversation was much harder than having it. Woo! GROW model in action. Yeah.
Yay,
well done, Sarah.
Sarah. I love that
you.
she took the GROW model from that episode, which is absolutely brilliant. So easy to use and easy to implement once you kind of get the gist of it. If you haven't heard about it, go back one episode, friends, and give it a listen, because it's one of those life-changing tools that will spark all sorts of wonderment for you. And it worked for Sarah, which is like proof is in the pudding, as they say.
100%. Well done, Sarah. Round of applause from us. In fact, I think Cassandra Sparks, that Sarah deserves. Can I hear a hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
Oh, it gets worse. At the end of this episode, everybody, we are going to pose this week's Courage Challenge, so please stick around for that. All right.
Absolutely. Now, Ewan, you said at the beginning of our chat today that we have another listener question coming through.
Yes.
And I love this one because it's actually one of those things that sounds really small, And it actually reveals quite a bit about leadership.
Absolutely. Because this isn't really about someone being just 5 minutes late to a meeting. It
Mm-mm.
really gets down to the core of our values, the core of our beliefs, and that is
Mhm.
respect. So, here is the question, and this is our second question on Sparks Squared Speakeasy. Yay.
Yay.
Thank you to David
Yay.
for our last question on our last episode. This one comes from Patricia, and she says she's based here in the United States of America. That was a very generic location. She's obviously wanted to keep herself secret, but we are July the 9th. So happy 4th of July from your fellow Brit. And she asks this. When people come late to meetings, I find it extremely disrespectful. I understand that life happens and occasionally this will happen. But when you do come in, please don't interrupt the meeting and give a dissertation as to why you're late. It's so aggravating. As a professional, I know I can't say WTF is wrong with you. She said WTF. I would have said it differently, but Patricia, much respect for the restraint. Why can't they just come in quietly and take a seat? What can I say that is professional and still keeps the meeting on track? Ooh.
Yes. First off, I think that question right there makes a lot of people feel very, very seen.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've all had that moment where internally we are screaming, stop explaining. We were doing great before you arrived, and we don't really care why you're late.
Right. And I think that that is the exact moment right there where leadership truly has to come in. Like, that's where you have to, like, step out of just normal Joe Blog member of the public and into, I am a leader here. My goal isn't to make someone feel bad for being late, but it is to protect the room and to protect productivity, right? To protect the
Yes.
momentum that that meeting was meant to have in the first place. I'm one of the first people to say to my team, if we are going to have a meeting, we make it productive. If we're not going to have a
Mhm.
meeting, if we're not going to make the meeting productive, we do not need the meeting. Send an email, send a message on Slack. We don't need a meeting for the sake of having a meeting. So I feel you, Patricia, because if you're going to be late for that meeting, you're being late for something that should be meaningful. So, are we ready? Let's get into it. I think we, of course, have to make sure that before we do really get into it, Cassandra Sparks, we tell people who we are. So,
Let's
over to
please.
you.
Thank you. Welcome to Spark Squared Speakeasy, the leadership conversation you weren't meant to overhear.
Served up like a casual pub chat, very sensual casual pub chat this time. I didn't realize I was getting whispered to, Cassandra. Anyway, this casual pub chat
You're
is, of
welcome.
course, for leaders just like you, and just like me, and
Mhm.
just like Cassandra.
That's right. I'm Cassandra Sparks, your go to gal for sparking authentic motivation and bold AF moves.
Oh, yes, and I am Ewan, founder of Figure Learning, where we make workplace learning actually work. And of course, if you haven't been able to tell already, fun.
Folks, pull up a chair. This is real, honest talk about leadership in real life.
All right, let's get into it and answer that question for Patricia. So, let's get started.
Yes. So we have this idea of the meetings flowing, we have this interrupter come in. And if we're being honest, it's not necessarily the late arrival that's the problem. Things happen. Technology fails. Traffic. You and I know and I know what that's like based on the cities in which we live. Traffic is unpredictable.
Mhm.
So that in and of itself is its own beast. And or another meeting that someone's coming from could have run over. So life happens. The real crux of the issue is what happens next.
Exactly. And I think that we have to remember that walking in late and quietly joining in is one thing. I get it. Sometimes we have to arrive late. But walking in and then making everybody stop, reset, and then listen to your explanation for why you're so late now just completely shifts the entire room, and it adjusts around this one person showing up late.
That's right. And that's where the leadership conversation is rooted. Every interruption sends a message. And what it's saying is, my reason, my experience, my life is more important than everyone else's time. That may not be the intention, but that's what essentially is at the root of the message.
And I think, Cassandra, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think that when people do walk into the meeting and they go off on their explanations, they go off on their excuses, on the reasons and the rationale for not turning up on time, I genuinely don't think that most people mean it in that interruptive way. I don't think that
Mhm.
people walk in with the intention of wanting to interrupt the flow of the meeting or wanting to interrupt what's being discussed. I think that there is
Yes.
something else that's making them feel like they have to give an excuse, that they need to
Mhm.
give an excuse, right?
Yes. I agree with you because most people are not intentionally disrespectful, as you so astutely pointed out. And I think the impact of that situation matters. The impact of how they enter the room and what they say matters. The intent doesn't erase the impact. So, for example, if someone has to say anything, as a communication expert, I would recommend a, the briefest thank you for your patience and the grace of allowing me to be a few minutes late. I'm so happy to be here, or
Yeah.
I'm happy I made it, versus I'm so sorry. The kids couldn't get on the bus. Traffic was backed up 30 minutes. Spilled my coffee in the car. The excuses are not what a leader wants to hear. The leader and the team want to hear acknowledgement for their time and their boundaries. Thank you for your patience with me this morning. I'm so happy I made it.
Absolutely.
Catch me up later on what I missed. Please continue. That's it right there. That's all that needs to happen.
I could not agree more. And here's the thing, Cassandra, I'm very conscious that I always think go back to root cause, right? What is the reason that that person felt that they needed to do that?
Huh?
Why did they need or feel the need to walk in and have to give their excuse? And I would suggest that it's potentially a much deeper, more rooted problem in the culture, in the meeting culture of your team, that they've felt, not necessarily because of you and your leadership style, but because of maybe leaders that they've had in the past, that they
Mhm.
needed to provide an explanation because there were ramifications if they did not provide a valid reason for turning up late. And I think that
That's
for
right.
us as leaders, it's about almost learning that lesson right there, that we need as leaders to recognize that it's about how we set the culture for meetings in our team and how we
Mhm.
make sure people feel protected and feel safe enough to come in late and then address it in a much more subtle way.
Absolutely. So I hear you saying the leader needs to set the expectation, and I absolutely agree. And to do it from a place of not being angry and not wanting to embarrass someone, because like you said, in past experiences, someone might have had a situation where a leader made them feel small or belittled for making a quote unquote mistake for being late, but to do so clearly. So, Ewan, we talked about what it could sound like as the person who is late when they walk in. What could it sound like from the leader's perspective?
In responding to somebody coming in late, I think that they can absolutely address it in the moment, but here's
Mhm.
my personal take on this. I think
Mhm.
that addressing it in the moment is not helping anybody. And it's just doing more to further disrupt and to distract from the purpose of the meeting. If it was me, I would be saying, it's great to have you. Take a seat. We'll catch you up. And
Yes.
just catching it straight away. Don't allow them the opportunity to get into the excuses in the first place. But of course, I'm just going to come in and go, I'm really sorry. A lot happened. It's fine. It's fine. No problem. Take a seat. We'll catch you up. But I think that the most important thing is how we perception is 9/10 of reality, right? As a leader, giving your team the perception that it's okay if you are going to be late once or twice, things happen. And when those times happen, you're not going to be chastised or embarrassed or be asked to give an excuse in front of the class. That's not how this works here. We're at work, we're not at school.
Mhm.
But there then has to be precedent set by you as a leader to ensure that it doesn't become a bad behavior that's then compounded and then becomes part of the culture. That people feel, oh, well, I can come in late to meetings when Patricia is on because she doesn't do anything about it. And I think it's really important that we have the next step. So if someone comes in late, we allow them to come in, take their seats, no embarrassment, no chastising, just thank you for joining us. We'll catch you up after the meeting on the bits you've missed and allowing them to jump into the conversation moving forward. But then it's about making sure that we then circle back with that individual that was late and in a more safe space, one to one, we give them the opportunity to then provide their reasons, then provide the reasons for them turning up late. But also we then give ourselves the opportunity to restate the expectation. I expect you to come to meetings on time. I understand that sometimes things happen, but these are the expectations and this is why we want you to be there on time because meetings are meaningful here. We don't have meetings for the sake of meetings. It is when we want us to be in a room together, we really want your input. We want your perspective to be as part of that conversation. And I do think, sorry, I'm on a ramble waffle here, but I do think that leadership conversation that happens afterwards, that restating of the expectations, that helping them to understand the why and the purpose behind meetings will help to build that culture of meetings being meaningful and not just being for the sake of them.
Yes. I don't wanna do maybe 2 hell yes in an episode is overkill, is it?
Don't know.
Why don't
Maybe
you
we
go
can
ahead
ask
and give
the.
me a why don't you go ahead and give me a hell yeah, Ewan?
Oh, okay then. Hell yeah.
I like so much about what you said because it's not rooted in punishment.
Mhm.
It's about creating a boundary and a s a line of respect so that everyone else can elevate to that level and to be held
Yes,
accountable.
absolutely. Agreed. I completely agree. I think that it is about making sure that every single person has the ability to really hear from you the expectations that they have around meetings.
Mhm.
Yeah, waffled.
Yes, because, leaders can't control the behaviors of everyone on their team. That's completely fictional and fantasy land to think that that's true. However, leaders absolutely can create an environment where people understand what matters. And if valuing time is of a top priority for that team, let's set that expectation, create the boundaries around it so that it's very clear what the expectation is.
Mhm. And can I just add one point on here about that might be helpful for Patricia and other leaders that are listening to this?
Mhm,
I feel like sometimes we as leaders we take over teams. We come into teams after they've been
mhm,
led by other leaders. And I think that there is a responsibility on us as new leaders, or not necessarily new leaders as in the first time we're doing the role, but as a new leader to this team to almost draw a line in the sand and restate the expectations. Because I don't think we're doing anybody a service or justice by just allowing their preconceived perceptions from previous leadership of what in this case a meeting might be um to essentially guide their behaviors. If they were always chastised for being late by previous leaders, then of course you're getting this resulting behavior of providing an excuse and interrupting the entire meeting. Sometimes it's about drawing a clean line in the sand and having the bravery as a leader to bring your team together and say, okay, as a collective group of people who are all collectively wanting to achieve the same goal, it is my job as a leader to make sure that we all have a set of expectations that we can hold ourselves accountable for, because these expectations are going to help us to achieve that goal more successfully together. And one of those expectations I have for you is making sure that we turn up at the meetings on time. And if we do have, for whatever reason, the need to be late to that meeting, here's what I want to happen when that happens. And I think that just being respectful of those people and their experiences and the fact that they've been led by other leaders with very different styles and very different expectations, and being led by leaders who are frustrated by very different things. For one leader, someone turning up to a meeting late may not be the end of the world to them, but to you, it may be. And that's okay, because we're all different. We all have different hot buttons that push us, right? So yeah, there you go. I think that my kind of takeaway, or one of my takeaways from this conversation to you, Patricia, this question would be, just be brave enough to restate the expectations and then remind your team of them. And don't just expect your team to be as equally frustrated by people showing up late to meetings as you are, because they're not. We're humans, right?
Absolutely. Ewan, there's the bold take. You just said it. I hear you say that you don't have to call someone out to create accountability, and you have to call attention to what the team needs.
Yeah.
That's the bold take right there, summarized
Love
up
it.
in a nice little wrapped in a bow.
Love it. Thank you for wrapping that up in a bow for us. I appreciate that.
Hmm.
So when we look at today's conversation, this actually connects back to something that we do talk about a lot, and it is about leadership presence, right? Being able to really stand up in front of your team and act as a leader. Be able to show to your leader, show to your team that you want them to get the most out of their time at work, and we want to all get towards this goal. And that takes presence. It takes the ability to stand up and be confident in what you're trying to achieve together as a team.
Yes. Presence isn't just how you show up when everything is hunky dory and going really well. Presence is showing, it's how you show up when and respond when something annoys you.
Yeah,
Keeping that
that little hot
composure.
button.
Yeah, the little when someone presses your buttons, how you show up with composure and respect and keep it all under a respectful wrap.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, that's a great conversation. I love that question. Thank you so much, Patricia, for sending it in. She sent it in, by the way, everybody, on Instagram, and we're going to share our Instagram handles with you as we wrap this conversation up. So if you want to also provide a question to our podcast, we would love to answer and just have a little wander, a little waffle, a little meander through the depths of your
A
question.
blether.
A blether. Gosh, there we go. Right back to the Scots again. I love that. Well done.
Yay. Yes, so thank you, Patricia. Now, before we close the Speakeasy doors, here is our challenge for the week, our courage challenge. The next time something frustrates you at work, which shouldn't take long,
Yeah.
don't just vent about it. Ask yourself, what expectation is missing here and needs to be clearer in order for me to feel comfortable and less enraged?
Love that. Have the conversation, set the standard,
That's
and
right.
then protect the meeting, protect the
Oh,
productivity.
yes. Great leaders don't create or expect perfect environments. The beauty of being humans is that we are not perfect. Great leaders create intentional environments by setting those expectations and
Yeah.
keeping their cool under pressure or when they feel like they want to throw something at the wall.
Or at someone else.
Or that.
Uh, yeah. But we don't do that because we do not condone
No, we
violence.
don't. We
No.
Do you know the movie Inside Out?
Do you know, I know it. I've never watched it. I'm the
Okay.
worst at this game.
So animated Pixar movie,
Yeah.
all about emotions. And when I think
Yeah.
about an angry leader, I think about the emotion of anger that's portrayed often has flame shooting out from the top of his head, and he turns all
Yes.
scrunched face and gets all grovelly in his voice. That's the thing we want to steer away from.
Avoiding that. Okay, that makes
Yes.
sense. I like that. We, Paul, I don't know, Paul, if you're listening, but me and my fabulous friend Paul worked together on Disney Cruise Line, and I had never watched the movie Clue before. Have you watched the movie Clue? The
Have
real proper
not.
one. Oh, it's the
Yeah.
movie of
But
Clue,
uh-huh.
the game, but oh my
Yes.
gosh, you have to watch it, Cassandra. It is so good. Okay, so the movie of Clue has this character in it, and she is angry. I think I'm going to say she's Mrs. Plum. Paul will correct me, I'm sure. She goes, she's angry, and she's like, flames on the side of my face when she's angry. And every time me and Paul were in the office and something would irk us
Mhm.
we would just look at each other and go, flames on the side of my face. So there you go. Paul, shout out. I'm going
So
to
whether
message
flames are
Paul and
coming out
let
of
him
the
know that he got a shout out
yes,
on the podcast, but he's going to have to listen to the entire thing in order
that's
to be
right,
able
Paul.
to
Buckle
hear
up.
it. Buckle up, my friend. Buckle up. We should have him on as a guest. And he just has to say, every time we say something that he doesn't agree with, he just has to go, flames on the side of my face. I really hope I've got that quote right. It'd be hilarious if Paul corrects me and says, actually, you, that's not what they said. But that wouldn't
Drop a
surprise me.
comment, Paul, when you see
Drop
the
a
episode.
comment
Drop a
below.
comment.
All right, good. Well,
Yes.
I am so grateful for this little waffle chat. And if you want to
Mhm.
take your workplace learning from bland to brilliant, listeners, then please follow Figary Learning by searching Figary Learning, Figary Learning on all the socials. And of course, you can follow me, Ewan Riccio-Laing on all of the social channels as well. EwanRicciolaing. And I would love to hear from you.
That was well done. That might be your
Thanks.
fastest yet.
I think so. I'm getting good.
Yeah. And when you're ready to find out how I empower teams and individuals to unleash their hidden firepower to live boldly and authentically, just give a search at Cassandra Sparks You. You'll find me there. Connect with me.
And of course, you can find our very own fun shop, which is Own the Room, Tell the Story, where you build your presence, confidence, and storytelling that actually lands. So if your team are looking for a fantastic team building leadership retreat, just to up your presentation and leadership
Mhm.
presence skills, then we have a fantastic experience that's built for you by the fabulous Figure Learning team and Cassandra Sparks.
Yes. Imagine having this with your team.
All
This
of this. Those lucky
plus
things.
more. I know. I
Oh,
know.
ooh, I love it.
I know. And if this conversation sparks something for you, share it with someone who needs a seat at our table.
We will be back seeing you here next time. Same
Yes.
speakeasy, same sparks.
Same sparks.